What's up, guys? It is Richie here, back from the summer break of the F1 podcast. This is season 2, episode 17. And it is, what day is it in August? Oh, that's a good question. I don't even know.
22nd.
Summer, the 22nd. Oh, hey, Andrew, how are you?
Good. Unfortunately, the days are getting darker now. Earlier.
I don't like it.
We're on the wrong side of the calendar, people.
So I actually, hi, Erica, by the way.
Hi.
I had soup probably for the first time this summer, and that kind of was the signal that, weathers might be getting colder.
I got soup dumplings for dinner. Highly recommend. It complemented the grossness that is the rain in Toronto nicely.
Hey, the farmers would be happy with the rain, so let's just say that. But anyways, we got a doozle. A doozle? No, we don't have that.
A doozy is a doozle. Zawazi is a woozy.
The zoozle is also.
Can you tell this has been our first episode in a couple of weeks? It's been it's the summer break, so we got to enjoy not talking about Formula One for a bit. We were able to get away, spend time with family, X, Y, and Z. But we come back.
Attended a few weddings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Quite a few weddings attended among all three of us, really.
Yeah, I can't believe everyone's getting married. We're at this age where everyone's getting married, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. Shout out to Chris and Heather. I was at their wedding in Hamilton.
Ooh.
They were great people. Oh, actually, Ancaster. Sorry. It was a great wedding. Actually, we did talk about Formula One there. So I did try to sell the pod at the wedding. I can confirm that.
Why am I not surprised? For those of you who had the misfortune of meeting Ricci at Montreal, I'm sure he talked your ear off about it. So
you laugh at
it's a celebration of love. And you know what else is like love is warm, and you know what else is warm? The friction a tire produces on a racetrack. And you know what? Formula One is on racetracks, and I have a podcast about it. That's how you do it, Ricci.
It's like one of those games where you start with like one actor and you had to figure out how to get to another actor completely like not related, but guess the movies in between that would connect people to him.
Sell me this pen. Okay. Anyways, I tried. All right. So, but it's been an exciting. We finished the half of the season. We go to Spa next week. There's been a lot that's happened this season. Red Bull has been very dominant. We've seen some emergence of Ferrari. They've shown that they are able to win races again. Mercedes has started off the season slow. They've now looked like they might jump over Ferrari in the constructors. We've seen some terrific racing from Valtteri Bottas in a car that clearly is not meant to be that high up in Alfa Romeo, but he's clearly proven it. We've seen Mick Schumacher score some first points in his F1 career. Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion, announced that he's leaving at the end of the season. Fernando Alonso not picking up his phone, and then he's saying jokes. I'm going to Aston Martin. It's been one heck of a season, and we still have a lot of races to go. We made a lot of fun predictions this season. And for those that are following, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But I guess I'll open the floor. What has been the most shocking surprise to you this season so far? I'm going to go, Andrew, you start in the alphabetical order.
Honestly, just really how bad AlphaTauri have been all year. Considering they were looking like a pretty solid midfield team coming towards the end of last season and getting some good money for help development of the car, they have been nothing but disappointing all year round. And my preseason predictions had Pierre and Yuki finishing P8 and P9 in the Constructors' Championship. Yeah, we're miles behind that. P13 and P16, and they're finishing P8 right now in the Constructors. It has just been abysmal for the Red Bull Junior team there. I apologize. I have to say that about Pierre Gasly's junior team. But anyways, it's they've been horrific.
It's been I agree with you. It's been surprising. They've had so many different issues happen with this car though. Like we had some of the reliability. I mean, like the car just spontaneously combusted a couple times, but to boot, there's just been like Yuki with I've never seen before with a rear wing just kind of break in half like that and have to be duct taped together. I know we talked about that on here before, but just like weird stuff happening with this car, honestly. And then a couple of driver errors on top of it just kind of compounds the issues and takes what should be a team that's performing better and pops them that far down the grid.
I think especially, they had some promising moments last year. And I think Yuki was it Abu Dhabi was fourth to end off the season on a high note. And then, he's only scored points in 3 races this season. And even the last 5 races in particular, a retirement, a 14th, a 16th, a retirement, and 19th doesn't really show motivation to continue racing after the summer break.
No, and even like Pierre, right? He had a 5th place finish in Azerbaijan, and since that race, they haven't even looked competitive. So I don't know if it's an upgrade package that failed or if they're waiting on an upgrade package to implement, or maybe they're kind of saying screw it to this year. We'll start focusing on the updates and regulations next year for the car. Because that's another issue, especially I think there's gonna be floor regulations coming in next season that's gonna be different. So who knows what the game plan is there for Franz Toast and the boys and girls at AlphaTauri. It's a little concerning considering how promising they looked at the end of last season.
I think my biggest surprise of the year for me is I think the elephant in the room is Ferrari. I think it's no secret, especially going 1-2 in Bahrain, really motivated Ferrari fans. And I was skeptical about this year. I knew that we were going to have a much better year, but the reliability issues with that engine, and particularly we've seen that go into other Ferrari teams that have Ferrari engines, seeing the reliability issues and just the teams making some really silly calls and pit strategies. That has kind of been the surprise that I had marked. But my first response was going to be the emergence of Haas and seeing Kevin Magnussen, who was not going to start in F1 this year, come into a situation where he was able to get a seat. And, he's able to put himself in P11 and, bring the team that was the bottom of the barrel for the last 2 seasons to some new heights that they probably have not been since the beginning. They started in Formula One a couple of years ago. And Mick Schumacher, there was a lot of pressure going on to him this year, and he was finally able to get his first points in his Formula One career. So I think that has kind of been the biggest eye opener, seeing the emergence of Haas. But obviously, Ferrari needs to figure their stuff out, and if they really want to have a chance at all at the end of the season. And surprisingly, Binotto is still there. I said he was going to be gone, but there's still faith in Maranello, and he needs to prove himself in the last couple of races of the season.
Which honestly, I don't understand at all when he has said that, there's no reason for Ferrari's strategy to change. Everything's fine. And it's reliability issues aside, you've screwed over your drivers on multiple occasions with some of the calls that you've made. When the data, especially really bothered me a couple of times when they saw throughout FP1, 2, and 3 and qualifying that the hard tire was not the right tire to use, which we've seen consistently over many races this year too. And then deciding to put your driver on a hard tire, and then they just get blown out of the water by someone on a softer medium tire toward the end of the race. Just the fact that people are or you're calling people in when they're not supposed to, it just grinds my gears.
What do you think the strategists are watching during the race?
Teletubbies.
Yeah,
I was gonna say TLN, which is the Italian channel. So
yeah, it's I almost wonder if Juventus is on while the race is going on, and rather watch the football match than they watch their own team.
I mean, I don't doubt it. There's definitely potential that that's what's happening.
There's been a lot of upsets in the soccer season to start already, but that's another story. And good on that, Erica, especially to add in just the frustrations is because you can clearly tell that Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, they're working well together and they want to succeed. But the management needs to be there and the strategists need to be there if they want to come back at all. Because Red Bull will easily, as you see, we've seen Max Verstappen have some magnificent races this year, but he will pounce on the minute that Ferrari screws up. And, even it looks at Mercedes that, as I said earlier on in the episode that, they struggled at the beginning of the season, and there was questions flying around about who's the number one driver at Mercedes. And now we're seeing that they're going to start inching and creeping up. They'll probably pass Ferrari if in the constructors this week, if something doesn't go bad at Belgium, knock on wood. So
it's mind-boggling because they haven't had, anytime they finished a race, they haven't had a worse position than 6th on the finishing grid. And that has also been in large part due to, absolute shambolic errors from the strategist team too. Like they've cost so many points on the season. At the start of the season, they were up like 43 points in the constructors, and now all of a sudden, they went up in flames like Sainz's engine in Austria, down 80 points.
It's just mind-boggling that we're in this situation.
Well, we already see all the memes coming out. It's like, oh my gosh, it's race week. But then when you're a Ferrari fan, you start crying. You're like, no, do not want to get into this.
Which is so very true. We have a Slack channel at work where all the Formula One fans will post about whatever's going on and share their updates, and everyone's already like, well, time to start crying. There we go. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I mean, like, so much has happened during this off season. Like when we had our 2-parter beforehand, there was obviously like a lot of drama with people moving around seats and stuff. That's continued. There's just funny things I've seen of people on break too. So who knows what we're in for? What do you think's gonna happen when we come back? Like, who's gonna have good upgrade packages? Who's gonna absolutely biff it?
I think McLaren might have a good upgrade package.
You lose.
As a McLaren fan, will they?
Do a barrel roll.
Will they though?
No, I'm just trying to be optimistic. Like in a way, they've had so much time to try and figure out this car. Lando performed well last year here, despite the crash in Q3. There wasn't even really a race in Belgium anyways last year, but I don't know. I think there's just so much drama surrounding that team that maybe in a way, I hope they've been able to kind of focus on an upgrade package. But Erica, in a way, too, like maybe the drama is just surrounded the team so much that they just really have not been able to focus on building that car.
Mhm.
And it's been painful, nevertheless, if you're a Papaya fan this season.
Well, a good example is, you remember when I said that, was it in Miami? Was it right after the Miami Grand Prix when, like, McLaren was spending a lot of time on the social media? They had the drivers. Was it James Cohen? James Corden.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. And they did that whole spiel about that. And like, I could imagine that took a couple of hours of just like social media content and prep. And then next thing you know, they go out in 11th and 13th. So, I mean, judging by Daniel Riccardo's Instagram page over the summer break, like I think one point he was in Montana and then the other he's back in LA. So it looks like he's just like, is he even a driver anymore at this point?
Yeah,
I mean, he is driving, but he's singing Matchbox 23 a.m. while he's driving. And he's just going down a normal road. So driving, yes, but the driver we've come to know. I mean, they all take breaks like this during the summer, but just very different. Everyone else was like trying to stay pretty active, and Daniel's like, baby, it's 3 a.m. I must be lonely.
But like Daniel's the type of guy that kind of needs like this sort of break away from all the BS, away from all the noise, especially after the last couple of years, right? Came back, after a horrendous start to last season, ended up winning Monza, had the fastest lap there. It was like a glimmer of chance. And then they kind of faltered at the end there, but he kind of needs these, summer breaks where he just goes and does his stick. And
I think they all do, right? And I mean, I've been keeping up with it, and I have some thoughts to summarize what everyone's been doing on this summer break.
Oh,
Can I
like
share
to hear
them
it,
with
Erica.
you?
Go ahead.
George Russell has lost the ability to wear a shirt. I don't know if you've seen what he's been posting, but it's been a lot of
Have
I'm
you s-
cycling with no shirt on.
Have
I'm
you
doing
seen
this.
Albon with the lingerie cover?
No.
Oh
What?
yes. I don't know if it was Albon who posted it, but there's pictures posting of memes of like George Russell in his t-shirt, like shirtless, and they've done like lingerie
Yeah.
around it.
I love it. A lot of the young ones have fun with each other, and it's just a good vibe. What else happened? I mean, like we said, Daniel Riccardo. A lot of people think he's pretty well guaranteed gone, but he's just chilling. He's just living his best life, doing all the American things that a Western Australian boy has always wanted to do.
Well, it's interesting. If I just I'll interrupt you there. It's interesting that you mentioned that because, like, if McLaren tries to break his contract, it'll be like a situation where, like, just like when Michael Schumacher, when he left Jordan to join, was it Benetton? There was a whole kerfuffle with their lawyers because he broke contracts. So it's like, even if McLaren wanted to do that or try to bring Oscar Piastri in, like, you could just see, also, yeah, Alpine would have to have a legal battle after the situation that just happened on Twitter over the break. We can't forget about that. But yeah, I could see a situation like if they're going to try to drop him, like there's going to have to be a big bailout of his contract.
Oh, it's at least $21 million. That's the bare minimum.
That's what he's saying.
So
yeah.
that was one of the memes that were being posted was like sign on for a team for a year, do well enough that another more reputable team that's building its reputation signs you. Don't do great, but then get their only win of the season, sign a multi-year contract, tank the next season, get paid $21 million to not drive for them anymore. So
Finish him.
Either way, I think he's sitting pretty because he's like, you know what? If they don't want me here, I get paid $21 million, and if they keep me on, then I get that money as salary. So I don't know. He's sitting pretty either way. I think that's why he's so chill over this break, is he's just like, I don't know.
Did you hear about the science behind Fernando Alonso and how he's still young still?
Oh, because he like lost his memory in that one car crash. And he thought he was still karting.
Yeah, it was like back in 2015. It was like, yeah, when he crashed into the wall at the Montemelo circuit in Barcelona. When he woke up, he thought he was racing karts as opposed to F1 cars. He said he wanted to be an F1 driver. So that's why he's still young at heart, because he's got 20 years. He's 20 years younger than we think he is.
Oh my God. But what else? Interesting little thing, a couple other things that have been happening on social media that made people pop off and kind of wonder where people will end up next year. Everyone lost their minds because Mick Schumacher was following some of the executives at Alpine on Instagram, which he hadn't previously done. And this was probably like a week or so ago, I want to say. So it's after a lot of the other drama had kind of passed and people are still wondering who's going to be where. And didn't one of us in our little guesses say that maybe Mick would go there, like if a seat didn't open up at Ferrari or something?
Did we?
Or did I just have like a fever dream and I was like, it's so wild, we must have said it?
I'm looking at our crystal ball predictions and I do not see that, but totally.
But yeah, anyway, that is weird. And I don't think, I mean, like we were saying even just before this, like who would drive for Haas at this point? Because I don't think a lot of the F2 guys would really want to be lining up to take that seat.
No, and I think like he's proven himself to like secure maybe another year or so in that contract. And like obviously Carlos Sainz and Leclerc are not going anywhere in the Ferrari seat. So last thing Mick would want to do is just be their reserve driver, because there's no point.
Yeah. And my personal favorite is that because I look up so much F1 stuff, be it on Google or just like Instagram or Twitter, sometimes Google News, like when you just bring up the page, gives you articles to click on, and there's always this one clickbait site. And if you actually read the articles, they don't say anything, but the headlines make you really want to click on them. And it was like, Lando Norris likely to replace Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes.
Yeah, no.
I didn't even really know how to respond to that.
Do a barrel roll.
Well, speaking about another one, there's one I just pulled up. It says Schumacher set to go to Alpine after Ferrari switch. Okay.
What?
Just really digging the barrel for some of these clickbait articles. I think another cool thing was another big thing this season was actually going to an F1 race, like something that if we never said, we're like, oh, we're just gonna do it, and we did it.
It's pretty wild. Like,
Yeah.
I hope I get to go again at some point. I know you're locked and loaded for next year in Montreal, Ricci. So
Yes.
fun stuff. But otherwise, a lot of the drivers just seem to be having a good time. Max Verstappen had his girlfriend spin him around in a pool of water.
The world drivers champion of last year and the guy leading the WDC this year can't swim.
Has any-
He's got water wings.
Have either of you watched New Girl before?
Yes, I've watched New Girl. Yeah.
So when Nick meets Tran and he's like all stressed and Tran takes him to the pool and someone's just like playing a wooden flute in the background while Tran is like swishing Nick around in this pool of water. Like that's kind of what I imagine with Kelly doing that to Max, just like relax. Because we all know, I feel like he's a tightly wound guy. Maybe he just needs to be a little baby every once in a while and let all the stress out. What else have people been up to? Esteban's been just doing his own thing and kind of trolling everyone else with all the drama going on. Latifi was having a wonderful time with his girlfriend, so I don't know. I don't think he cares what happens to him either. He's living his best life.
I know. I saw his Instagram. That was a beautiful resort that they were at.
I want to go there, but I'm scared to look up how expensive it is.
Yeah, it's not affordable for us.
I feel like that is more than my entire savings account on like 2 nights there.
We also still need to get Andrew to a Formula One race. So this is our constant reminder to our future promoters and sponsors to hashtag get Andrew to a race. Well, it was get Andrew to Montreal, but we're just gonna say get Andrew to an F1 race. Yeah.
Albon, did you see Alex Albon traded in his F1 car this past summer break?
No.
He traded in for a golf cart.
Oh yeah, that he did. He's been hitting the links.
Hitting the links hard with his girlfriend, who's I think she's on the LPGA tour.
She is, I think so, yeah.
Wild.
I was gonna say Carlos Sainz is going like full Baywatch and just like literally in his boat, just driving up the Mediterranean everywhere.
He does that every year though. Last year he posted a video of himself diving in the water and spearfishing. Like what? I don't even know how to react to that. That's just what he does. You know who else is having a great time on the water? Pierre Gasly, mega stud. My God, that guy's got swagger. It seems like he's been having a good time with family, but I don't know why you're putting on fashion shows like that if you're just on a family vacation.
Well, it's a part of his AlphaTauri contract. They have to do it.
Fair, very fair. They can't win races, but they may as well look good while they're losing.
Exactly.
I'm liked by Pierre Gasly.
He also had a picture where he's wearing one of those t-shirts. I love it. He's got a good sense of humor about it. It's my favorite. But otherwise,
But Erica, going back to your point with Sainz, I was so confused. You said boat. I thought it was an Aston Martin F1 car.
I thought it was a Haas promotional item.
The Steiner ship is now a yacht.
He finally got it.
That he did. But otherwise, everyone else seems to be having a pretty chill time, and I'm excited to see them back on the circuit.
Though that Lewis Hamilton, I think, had one of the coolest summer experiences ever. It was really cool seeing all of his reels, all of his pictures in his trip to Africa, and getting inundated with the culture there. The one crazy was like he was in the jungle and there was like a girl right beside him just kind of chilling.
Yeah.
He was just like in Rwanda. He walked up near him and he's just like, hey. And then I think the gorilla was just having some lunch there, but it was really cool seeing his whole experience there in Rwanda, and kudos to him for really enjoying that time there.
Well, it wasn't just Rwanda. He went to Namibia, Kenya, and Tanzania as well. So really covering all the bases. And I think it's also really great that he got to kind of publicize this and talk about it a bit, because he's been very involved with like racial equality, equity and stuff like that. And so to have someone who is very much part of the diaspora talk about how like it's neat to, I don't know where my family's from because we were taken away from here and sent elsewhere, and to kind of like reconnect with the roots, I found to be like very touching and cool to see. And also out of my snack bracket in terms of things I can afford, I think. But hopefully he comes back refreshed and ready to keep crushing it in that Mercedes in the back half of this season.
Well, he's clearly the last couple. I think he's got 6 straight podiums. I think currently right now. Yeah. So if there's a team that has really got the momentum right now, is Mercedes, I would say, if I was a betting man. And Red Bull, actually, well, technically it would be Red Bull, just because Ferrari is, but like your sleeper pick. Let's go with that.
Just still so expensive for fantasy. It's just hard to justify sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to apologize, Erica. Lando Norris did celebrate his 1-year anniversary with his current girlfriend.
Oh no, that I know. I think she's amazing and they're adorable together. So he's too short for me anyway. A tower over him. I wear high heels and I'd be like a foot taller than him at this point, basically. I don't actually think that, but just I don't know. I'd be a foot taller than Yuki if I wore heels, that's for damn sure.
How tall is Yuki? I know he's the shortest driver.
He's 5'2".
Oh.
If I wore 4-inch heels, I'd be 6 feet tall.
Was another thing I was gonna ask, what's Vettel gonna do after this year?
Plant trees.
Or he could pull an Iceman and go race in the NASCAR Cup Series.
Oh, I'm fired up to see Kimi race.
He raced this past weekend. They had a road course and he crashed out. Unfortunately, he got hit on the restart, but he was like in the top 10 at one point on speed merit alone. So the Iceman's back, people.
I didn't know that was happening.
And then Danny Kvyat also raced too. So it's good to see some of these F1 guys starting to branch out into like NASCAR. I think it would be so cool to watch the Iceman win one, but it's a completely different car and like it's just so much more heavier.
Yeah, so he's racing with the Trackhouse Racing Team. He would make his Cup Series debut, number 91 Chevrolet, and yeah, he finished 37 after crashing.
Do you think he would keep racing if he wins a NASCAR race, or will this just be like I did a thing? Now I go ride dirt bikes in my backyard.
He's probably bored, to be honest.
I was gonna say he's probably
because you gotta think about it. Like a lot of these athletes are, whether if it's Formula One or just anything, it's like the minute you retire or something, like you're so used to some routine, whether if it was working out twice a day or like practice. Ain't talk about the game, we talk about practice. But then like the minute you become retired, then like what do you do?
Well, look at Tom Brady. He was retired for like 4 weeks, couldn't handle the home life, and he went back to the NFL.
That was hilarious.
He's like, dinner? Make? What? I gotta go.
Took one look at like his kid's runny nose and was like, I'm not dealing with that, and decided to sign back up again.
Could you see Rob Gronkowski, if I'm pronouncing his last name? Is he like full on retired? Or are we gonna get like a surprise?
Gronk is retired.
Yeah. Like
Okay,
it
so
was already a big enough deal that he came back to play for a couple more years anyway, because I think he's also just like destroyed his body at this point in time and he's just done. But we're not here to talk about football. We're here
but Lewis Hamilton did retweet about the Denver Broncos. We forgot about.
He is an owner.
Yeah, he's a part owner now. Which
we said, Erica, like, why would you want to own a team that just doesn't win?
You lose.
I love how they were like, we thank him so much and we know he's gonna bring like great mentality and stuff to the sport. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know that it's gonna help you.
With what time and when? Like, is he just gonna go for between races? Okay, this is a different conversation. Okay, so let's bring it back on topic. So who do you think is gonna win the championship at the end of the season?
Max Verstappen.
It's gonna be Max Verstappen, and it's gonna be by Coda.
What?
Sorry, Circuit of the Americas.
Oh, Circuit of Americas.
The USGP. He's gonna win it by that race.
When is that race? Is that one of the 3 we've got coming up now, or is that September?
No, it's near the end. It's the fourth last race this season. So Mexico,
Oh,
I'm going to say Mexico City, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi aren't going to be meaningful.
I think you might be right, honestly. Unless Ferrari pulls like a 180 and starts putting the pressure on, and Red Bull absolutely bins it into a couple turns.
Like they need to make a freaking statement coming out at Spa this week.
All right, you're hearing it right now. Leclerc's going to win the championship by 1 point.
How though?
No.
Like he's 80 points back.
We've seen some crazy things in this sport. If you ever have a fun field day, I think the F1 posted like the top 10 comebacks in Formula One, and there's some pretty crazy comebacks that have happened over the years. So,
And I'm
I
not
don't
saying like
deny it.
Leclerc's not possible doing it. It's his strategist probably won't figure out how to do it too.
I do love that there was a meme where it was Leclerc talking to Toto, being like, "So if we could just borrow some of your strategists for a little bit."
or the only way Ferrari can win the season if Max Verstappen drove a Ferrari.
Yeah. But that being said, if we're most of us, other than Ricci, who still has hope for Ferrari, who do you think is going to be constructors champion? I still think Red Bull.
For my
Well, the
predictions, I would
problem
love it to be Ferrari.
But the problem is like Perez, like he's I don't know I forget where he's standing right now.
Well, he's third. He's 5 points behind Leclerc.
Mm-hmm. He's had a couple of missteps this season, but he's like, he won Monaco and he's had a couple other great finishes as well.
Yeah.
So like, I do think it's entirely possible that, between the fact that, I mean, Sainz is a great driver and like he's had a good season so far, despite some missteps on the part of Ferrari, but I still think just the reliability of the Red Bull is going to be what pushes them over the line.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair statement. I guess like, do we have any sleeper picks going into who is the most unlikely person to get on the podium this season? Because for those who don't know, McLaren's already is the only other team other than Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull to get on the podium this year.
I think if all goes well, a Haas.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping like Magnussen or Mick get on a podium. That'd be so big for Haas. That would be they'd be over the moon.
But you also gotta think, like, we've seen some really weird racing happen at Spa, and like it's like a something like last year.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but it's supposed to rain all weekend in Spa.
I know.
Is it?
Yeah, the sick part too is I saw someone post like the weather, and it's supposed to be sunny Monday through Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday it's rain all day.
All day.
You're joking.
No kidding.
No wonder they want to take
sickos.
No wonder they want to take Spa off.
Yeah.
This might be the last race at Spa.
And is that the real?
Well,
is that the reason?
there's no contract next season for them, and due to the emergence of Zandvoort, F1 now has a new race within that region that attracts hundreds of thousands of fans all weekend. And
I'm not gonna lie, Zandvoort was fun last year. It's a short circuit. You get a lot of action.
yeah, but like Spa is just so iconic. It's like if you're gonna get rid of Spa, get rid of Monaco too at this point, right? Because it's just so iconic in terms of the tracks.
That's very, very true. I mean, I obviously hope they don't get rid of Spa. I wouldn't mind if they got rid of Monaco because everyone knows how I feel about street circuits at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I think Alpine will definitely get a podium by the end of the season though, because they've been competitive and putting the pressure on all season. So I don't think it's completely out of line for either driver for them.
What do you think the driving dynamics can be like at Alpine now that Fernando's on his way out the season? Do you think he's going to be saying like, F the world, I'm going to just drive my ass off? Or do you think they're going to let Ocon kind of be the number one driver? Not that he's been kind of like that a bit, but do you think they're just going to push him more in that case?
Well, the thing that we've learned in this sport, there's always going to be a number one driver regardless. Like, so I think that maybe Fernando is going to be a little bit more rebellious and maybe just like maybe when they say team orders this, or if I need you to pit now. No, I don't feel like it. Or maybe I'm gonna go on extra couple of laps. So I just feel that first meeting back is going to be really awkward if it hasn't happened already, or if he's stuck on some island right now.
Walking
picking
down
up
the
his phone.
streets and telling them that he's in American Samoa or something like that, and he's really in Guadalajara.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like he's got enough of the FU energy that he might just go for it if he thinks that. I think if there's not a good enough reason, like if his tires aren't degraded enough or there isn't an engine problem or something, and Alpine is giving team orders to let Ocon through, I think Fernando's going to be like, no. Oh, I'm not driving fast enough. You want to let him through? Well, let me drive faster then. And then he's just going to pick up the pace. But I think maybe next season Alpine will throw more resources behind Ocon, depending on who ends up in that second seat. I think if Piastri had ended up in that second seat, sorry, Ocon, I think you're a second seat driver to the new guy. But since it's relatively clear that Piastri is not going to be racing for them, it's probably going to be someone that they don't want or haven't developed the same way. So Ocon's going to be their number one guy after this year.
I have a question for everybody. Do you think a Mercedes powered engine will have a Mercedes powered engine will win a race this season?
Yes.
Who?
George Russell.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, it's just like he's been so consistent, Lewis, that like he's there. He's been fastest lap a few times, but they just seem a little off the pace still compared to the Ferrari Red Bull. I think they need some stuff to happen for them.
There needs to be a DNF or some sort of like not even a 10 place grid penalty, because we've seen the Red Bull, we've seen Max Verstappen come back, or I think
Leclerc
he had
came back from the back of the grid at Canada.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like yes, is it possible? I do believe so, but we need kind of one of those I think there needs to be some issues of the top two grid spots or two teams.
I still think it could happen though. We had some exciting racing in the last couple ones where Lewis is really putting the pressure on for the podium. So I still say it's anyone's game, that anything can happen.
You know who I'd love to see win one would be Valtteri.
Yeah.
Because that Johnny and I we shat on that Alfa Romero to start the season. We thought they were going to be the worst of the worst.
Oh yeah, you want to hear a funnier one? Pull it about predictions, but I promise I'll get to that one. Erica.
I had Guang Yu Zhou finishing P20, and he should be a lot higher than P17 now because of because of all this technical difficulties with this car.
Yeah, Erica said McLaren to struggle early, but they'll be a strong team.
I said after the summer break.
Sorry, so I purposely paused there.
I'm technically not wrong yet.
It's but no, with all due respect, I'm not trying to dodge your question, Andrew. Yes, we totally underestimated Valtteri Bottas's driving ability, and I know Graydon is going to yell at me when he sees me on Thursday and saying, "Why are you talking bad about Valtteri?" I did not see it coming, but he's done some magnificent driving there, and he's really put the team in a spot that I did not personally think they were going to do.
I think it was 6 of the first 7 races of the season were like point finishes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just crazy. Like they've had some bad results lately, but that'd be so cool to see them win a race, especially like if him just being like the number 2 at Mercedes for like all those years and like limiting on pins and needles with that damn team, just to be able to kind of be open and free and just to be like, yeah, F the free world, I'm gonna go win this damn race.
I think that's actually one thing. Actually, speaking about that, Andrew, I actually kind of wish I brought this up earlier. I think the surprise of the season is, despite the regulation changes to make it such a fair thing for all the teams, and clearly it's not proven that yet because of all the dominance on the podiums and the wins for Ferrari, with only McLaren winning one podium or getting on the podium once. So I think that was also one of the things that I know from a regulation standpoint, they try to make it more fair, but I don't think we're really seeing that. Are we?
Well, I said at the beginning of the season, we're going to have like 10 different race winners, and we only had 4 because,
Oh, really?
yeah, like we've only had, both Red Bulls and Ferrari's drivers have won a race each. Well, they've each won at least one race. And,
Oh, damn.
I just thought, yeah, Reach, I thought so too. I thought maybe just me being naive or me, drinking the Kool-Aid that was getting pitched to me by Formula One, but I thought we were going to see a lot more closer racing overall. We are seeing closer racing, but it's in the midfield. It's not and it is at the front too, but there is a clear divide between the top 3 teams and the rest of the grid.
Yeah.
An absolute clear divide. And I just want to commend Adrian Newey and that team at Red Bull to be able to give Max a championship winning car after a season that they had last year, fighting tooth and nail with Mercedes. And Mercedes haven't been able to answer the bell so far. Like, I know they have I think it's like 304 constructors points, but that's miles behind Red Bull at 431.
Ooh.
There's still a lot of races to go.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm not disputing that there's a lot of races to go. I'm just saying, like, it's really goes to show like how good they've done at Red Bull with regards to being able to flip the switch that quickly. And despite like the issue they had at Bahrain, where we're like, oh man, what's going to happen here? They've just come out flying afterwards.
Andrew, you actually bring up a good point. And speaking about last year, guys, last week, I looked at the calendar and I looked at our YouTube page. Last week, actually last Monday, was our 1-year anniversary of this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What?
Yes. Well, I mean, we've talked about it. We actually don't really have a date, but we're just going to go with how the first episode was posted on August 15, 2021.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
because I know we're kind of wrapping up on time, but I just wanted to kind of circle back and just on behalf of the pod, obviously, to all of our listeners, thank you for making this project so much fun. What started off as a small thing of us doing a Zoom thing, posting on YouTube. Now we have an Instagram. Now we have a Spotify. Now we have Apple Podcasts. People kind of talk to us in Toronto about our podcast. I don't know. I think, or maybe we just sell ourselves a lot, but it's kind of crazy. I think we have some big things planned that we're trying to maybe hope to do, and more live videos and stuff. But I think just from the team, we're just so happy. Yeah, I won't lie. The first episode, I was so nervous because I said, I'm not a podcast person. I'm not a podcast person. And now look at us right now.
It's what we do.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for all the support. So I guess on that note, just any last things, because I'm just looking at the time. We should be wrapping this up soon. So
I just want to say, everybody, take it in this weekend, because this might be the last time we're at Spa for a very long time. So soak it in.
I see what you did there.
Soak it in, because this might be the last time we are there for a while.
Make sure you're in a comfy chair if there's going to be a big rain delay.
Wear some sweatpants. Make lots of coffee. Keep yourself entertained. I don't know. Maybe have a Switch nearby or something so you can play Cult of the Lamb if you haven't already. That's my plug for the day.
And you know what? Let us know what you think is going to happen in the second half of the season. What's your bold prediction of the second half of the season? Because we want interaction with all of our fans.
Yeah, we've been getting some good questions this season. And it's been pretty good. So, shout out to some of the guys from the podcast team and, the YouTube, of getting a lot of messages on Instagram too. So, I think my plug of the day is I'm playing Warzone, or trying to get at least a win at Warzone. So that'll probably be my set if the race is delayed. But anyways, on behalf of the F1 podcast, it is Richie here with my 2 amazing co-hosts, Andrew.
Bon voyage, everybody.
And Erica.
À bientôt, tout le monde.
And Andrew, would you do the honors of sending us off for the night?
Not a problem. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for spending the past year with us. It's been a wild ride. And here's to many more years of the F1 podcast. But looking forward to the Belgian waffles this weekend at Spa, because anything can happen there. Hey, George Russell finished P2 last year. So who knows?
In a Williams.
In
no
a
doubt.
Williams. So who
Mr.
knows what's gonna
Saturday,
happen?
baby.
Tune in to find out this weekend and listen to our review next week of this Belgian Grand Prix. Have a good night.